Hello, wonderful people, and welcome back to another episode on the True Wellness RX podcast. I'm your host, Hanna Schultz. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner, CrossFit coach at CrossFit Mentality, nutrition coach at Code Chiro, and owner of Nourish Cafe. So I'm sure you've heard this intro a million times now, but I don't know how else to start my podcast besides saying hello, beautiful people or wonderful people. So I hope you don't get sick of that. But I want to make this intro super quick so we can get into today's episode. Basically, this episode has kind of been in the works, or we've been wanting to do this for a long time, probably since I got home from deployment and had the podcast started. We've been talking about her coming on, Stefanie Tsengas, my best friend, coming on to the show and doing a little podcast interview together. So it's not really an interview, it's more of just a conversation between the two of us. And I wish that we could record some of the other conversations that we have, because we always get really deep. And throughout the college years, this is where I met Steph. I met Steph my freshman year, and we'll talk about kind of how we met too in the episode. But I met her freshman year, and I mean, she's seen every side of me. She was there when I've been broken. She was there when I lost my dad. She just saw me transform over the years in college, and she saw me grow spiritually, physically, and we've pushed each other in many ways. And we will talk all about that in this episode. Again, there's so much that we can talk about, and I definitely want to do future episodes with her too, because I feel like we bring sides out of each other that we don't even think to share with other people, like the things that we've done. She brought up stuff in this episode that I didn't even think about sharing with you guys, not because I didn't want to, but just because I forget that, I don't know, I feel like the people I talk to on this podcast are like my best friends. And so I forget that you guys don't know like the little details of everything and stuff. So, but I also don't want to bore you with one huge podcast episode. So we're breaking it up. We talk about spirituality, we talk about fitness, we talk about health goals, entrepreneurship, self-limiting beliefs, time management, lots about relationships, and there's just so many things. And I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I hope you enjoy Steph. She has her own podcast called Steph Speaks Radio, and we both put this episode up on our podcast. So go check out her other episodes on hers. She talks a lot about lifestyle and self-growth as her main topics. And yeah, I will put everything down below that we talk about, like our links, how to connect with us, etc. If you liked this episode, please share it on Instagram and tag us in your stories. And also share this with other people who you think might benefit from the episode or any other episodes of mine. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say. Let's get into the episode. Welcome to True Wellness RX, a lifestyle prescription inspiring you to nourish, move, and connect each and every day for optimal wellness.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
How you guys doing?
Excited to have you guys here.
Yeah.
Steph, do you want to say hello first?
All right, guys. Hello, everybody. How you doing? My name is Stefanie, and
I am Hanna Schultz. So we're bringing you guys together, both Steph's guests and also, I guess as listeners, maybe.
oh my God, what a great
our listeners together, because we both have podcasts. Mine's True Wellness RX.
And mine is Steph Speaks Radio.
Yes. So this episode's going to be a little different. It's not really an interview. It's more of just a conversation, because me and Steph have been best friends since like 5 years
Freshman
ago?
year of college, so it's been, about 5 years now.
Yes. So we've been trying to get this together for a while now, but our schedules are all over the place. And so we just wanted to share our stories together because I feel like they collide together, and we were both there during like pivotal moments of our like health journey because we did really start freshman year of college together. So we thought this would be really valuable for you both to hear. So that's why we're going to share on both of our podcasts because it shares a lot of both our lives, you know?
Yeah, and I think it's really, I mean, for anyone that has been following either of us, it's very evident that we talk about a transformation we both went through. And the whole reason we do what we do now is to help other people transform and go on that journey that we both did. So when we were 18, that was kind of the groundwork for everything that we've built now and continue to build. So I think it's going to be really cool to share with you guys where we started and kind of that journey and process that led us to be where we are now and where we're continuing to go.
Yes. And just having fun with conversation. I feel like you guys will learn a lot about us that we haven't shared ourselves.
Okay,
Stefanie.
Okay, good. All right. Well, let's get this thing rolling. So first things first, we both met when we were 18. I feel like it's a love story.
Oh, God. She treats it like that because she still calls me her girlfriend.
It's okay. Like, we were both luckily, like, with very amazing people in our lives right now, relationships, but we were both single for a very long time with the wrong people. So we relied on each other for...
And we took each other on dates.
Literally,
Lots
we're not
of dates.
kidding with that either. Okay, so find your girlfriends. Very important. So, yeah. So when we both started college, we basically met in our dorm. And
it was love at first sight.
It was love. See, it was just a love story, as you can tell. So basically, we didn't realize it, but we had went to high schools that were in a similar area, and we were both athletes prior to college, so we ran track against each other.
The same race.
Literally, like we reckoned, so yeah, same race, same events, and so when we, ironically, you know, universe works in its ways, we got put into the same dorm, recognized each other, and that's kind of how we started becoming friends because we kind of had that mutual awareness of, okay, I know you. So that's how it started.
Yes. And then from there, I think I remember you were sitting down on the floor, like writing up your new gym schedule that you wanted to try out. And it was like a weightlifting split or something. And I was like, what's that? And we kind of just dove into it together. I remember we started with the Katie Hearn booty plan.
Oh my God, yeah. So
we started from day one.
We did
being there.
Katie Hearn. So yeah, fun facts. And I never really openly talked about that. My beginning of my fitness journey was inspired by Katie Hearn.
Yep. I mean, who wasn't inspired by Katie Hearn's
yeah.
booty?
And at that time, 2014, Katie Hearn was definitely like at a very high rise, like on Instagram. So like she was like one of the main fitness people before it kind of got overflowed, if you will. So going into college, I already had that mentality of I wanted to be on a fitness journey. I was like very terrified of the freshman 15. I'm like, you know, I'm going to get on a plan, but I was a little nervous to kind of do it by myself because, I mean, anyone that goes to a bigger college is probably aware that, you know, the weight room can be full of a lot of the college guys and it's a little bit intimidating place for women. So Hannah and I made our mark in that.
Yes, we did.
In that territory.
Right. And I think we both went into it for different reasons because I know you were more like wanting to fulfill your athlete need and mine was just kind of like, I feel really lost right now and I want to do something. So it's just interesting how we both kind of chose the same path and pushed each other in that way. And we were really consistent with it. However, the nutrition was not on point at the time. And
oh, no, we did not have nutrition at all. Basically,
oh my God,
yeah,
so
that was
bad.
actually disgusting. So, well, to make things just like a little tip for anyone. So what we did was we went through our schedules. And I just want to share this because I'm sure a lot of you are in college. We went through our schedules. And as you know, when you have classes, you know, it's like, okay, you got marketing from 3 to 5 p.m., you know, whatever. So we put our gym times in there. So we worked out. I mean, we were diligent about 5 days a week. So we collided our times together and we like put in our schedule like a class. Okay, we're going to go to the gym Monday at 2, Tuesday at 3, you know, whatever. So that's how we started that and made a commitment to it because I'm not kidding when I say that we were committed with our fitness from the first day of college until we graduated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy.
It was.
We never took a break.
No, we didn't. We always have
overworked. But I honestly, and I honestly think towards the end, we started, you know, making our own schedules just because we were taking different classes all over the place. But from the start, like, that definitely did help having someone, like, one, accountability, and two, like, trying new things and having that other person there so you don't feel like I'm stupid or like what am I, like I don't know how to do this. We also shared each other like resources. We bounced like workout ideas off each other. So after like the Katie Hearn plan, I think we just went into like full force bodybuilding.
We did, yeah.
We did a show together. That was interesting. That was not my choice. That was for Steph's support. I just kind of followed along.
I will say, though, if that should say anything about us, me and Hannah, we're so different, but we're so alike at the same time in so many ways. But, like, when we have something on our mind...
each other out.
Oh, we are literally nuts, though. But, like, when there's something on our mind and we find this true to this day, we do it and we go 100... Like,
all the way.
Oh, it's not even, like... Right. We said we were going to do a show, and, I mean... Hannah was literally, you were in boot camp.
I was coming out of boot camp and Steph texted me and was like, hey, we should do this bikini competition. As I'm in Texas still trying to do this training, I have to eat out of a DFAC, and it was just a hot mess.
And we still made it happen.
You did a lot better than I did because I was really struggling.
We did it, though. I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, we, you know, our first year of college, we were a little bit all over, but, you know, we made a goal and we stuck with it. And not only did we stick with our fitness goals, we ended up going and committing to, like, a competition. Now, the reason I share that is because that same pattern we've noticed to be evident in both of our lives, even now with, like, business and anything we do. When we set a goal, I mean, we go after it 100%. And we really set the framework for that in college, even though it was just something like fitness and going to the gym. But again, like Hannah said, nutrition was not on point. And I think it's safe to say mental, emotional, spiritual health was also not on the rise either. So fitness was step one of our transformation.
Agreed. And I think after we went through the bikini competition, we kind of got even more clear on even the fitness alone.
Yes.
But I think this is when the nutrition came into play.
I want to tell them what we ate every day in the dining hall.
Okay, yeah. So we'll talk pre-bikini and during and then post. Okay, so for leg day and every day really we had froyo.
We said because it was leg day we could have froyo,
but we did this every day anyways. And it was froyo. There was a froyo machine. We would literally I remember Steph loved the Oreos. I loved the M&Ms on top. Yep, we would do pasta, pizza because it was leg day, guys.
Remember I got the cheesecake and put the froyo on top of the cheesecake?
You were an animal. Yes.
It was disgusting.
And then we were also like binge drinking on weekends, probably half because we were insecure and little freshmen, but also like we would just pig out after drinking.
I mean,
pizza, the insomnia cookies.
Remember Nutella on my floor?
Yes, guys, we ate a whole jar of Nutella together after like breaking through a grocery store, grabbing pretzels and Nutella, going through a whole bag in a jar. I want to say that's when we hit rock bottom, but it really wasn't. We kept going.
It wasn't rock. I was gonna say too, like the jar of Nutella on my floor was rock bottom, but
it really wasn't for us. We just continued.
It was really bad.
We were like scraping the ground for a while.
Well, now the reason I want to also make a point in this story too, because I kind of want to share the steps as we go through this. But Hannah did mention we were binge drinking on the weekends, and I want to really dive into that because I think that's a big reason a lot of people do get lost in college. Now, I'm not kidding when I say that we would take multiple shots before I have no problem sharing. Oh, it was 8. I was gonna say, I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
It was 8. We took 8 shots before we'd go out, and I don't care sharing this now because I know a lot of people in college probably do struggle with. They think they have to do that, but I mean, we'd be on the weekends, and it was kind of like living for the weekends in college. You know, taking those shots, going out, getting kind of a little bit, you know, off our gourd, and just to go look for them. Is that a saying? My mom says it. Is that a saying?
Okay, well, that means you shouldn't say it. Anyways, continue.
I don't even know if that's a saying.
Off my gourd.
Okay, whatever. You know what I meant. But, like, we would do these things just so we could kind of almost have validation for ourselves and then go out to, like, you know, look for guys, do the typical. But we did get lost in that. It's like, okay, we were on our goals during the weekend, but then... during the week, but then on the weekend, it's like, instead of focusing on ourselves, we were kind of digging ourselves in a hole. So.
Right. So I was in college my freshman year, the fall semester, and then I left Steph spring semester to go to boot camp. So she was she was struggling a little bit. She lost her girlfriend for a semester.
I was very impressed.
But when I came back the next fall, we were in prep.
Oh, yeah.
But the drinking really didn't last very long for us. At least not like that. I mean, I know you still went out here and there. I kind of nixed it in the butt for personal reasons as well. But even after that semester, I know you changed a lot with your relationship to alcohol too. And then so during prep, we were, very strict, very, very lower calories than you should never be on.
Extremely low. Hormones
obsessed with food, probably over-exercising and just restriction. And we were very, like, restricted from the rest of the world. It just was not, but we learned a lot from it, and so that's why I'm thankful that we went through it. Would I ever do another one? No, I would not. It wrecked my body, and then we rebounded after. And, like, your relationship is never the same after doing something like that. Like, we've done a lot of work on it, but there's still, like, a lot of mental side to it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the whole time you were talking, I'm like, yeah, I was just, like, envisioning it because it teaches you a lot. And, like, I've talked about it multiple times. I mean, and I still love fitness. That willpower, that determination, that drive, that, like, crushing goals. But it was more the fact that consumed every ounce of our being. And I felt like that really did open my eyes on how much I needed to do inner work, because you pay so much attention to your body that it made me realize that I had kind of a negative relationship with myself. Yeah. And I'm sure you can kind of relate to that a little bit too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then our relationship with food afterwards, I don't want to say that we kind of just, gave fell off our gourds. Okay.
Fell off our gourd.
We did.
My mom says that.
And we ended up just eating everything. I got into powerlifting because I was like, well, I got to move this weight somehow. Mass moves mass, people.
I forgot about the powerlifting.
Yes.
Mass moves mass.
Mass moves mass, guys.
I know you went from bodybuilding to powerlifting.
I did. And then I went to half marathon. I was all over the place. See, this is where our fitness journeys kind of go, like, opposite.
Because I've always kind of done the same thing.
You have.
Always were doing
you've just been there along for the ride for me, and that's been great. But I think, having that similar story it's interesting how it's shaped us differently, but we've both kind of found this relationship with our bodies where it's like, how can I nourish my body instead of how can I restrict my body? And I think just teenage women and women in college in general struggle with this concept, even bikini competition or not. So.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's definitely true. You don't have to be in a bikini competition to struggle with that.
No, it was basically just like a excuse to have kind of like an eating disorder. And I find that this is really common in college. It's just because there's self-comparison, beating yourself up. You're exhausted to begin with, stressed out. You're in a new crowd, trying to fit in, trying to attract the other sex or same sex. Hey, I don't know.
Whatever works for you, man.
And right. And so I really want to talk about, like, how did we get out of that kind of funk? Because there's so much more than just, like, I started eating really clean and found a good relationship with my body.
Oh,
like,
that's the main part of this. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. And I don't know if you want to share kind of, like, how did you dig yourself out of that self-loathing concept?
Yeah, there's so much of that. I mean, so there was a couple different things, and I think we can touch on this from a mental, spiritual, physical level, because, I mean, I think everything kind of applies to this. After, I'm going to be honest, it took me a hot minute to get out of that, and I wouldn't say I really did find a lot of balance the last 2 to 3 years, the most in my life, because after the shows, I constantly had this perception of what my body was supposed to look like, what it should look like. So I always wanted to cut. I always was thinking I need to lose weight to look like I did when I competed, and I had this weird relationship with food. Like, for instance, when I was doing shows, like, I had a weird relationship with fats, for example. Like, I always ate super duper low fats, and obviously with, Hannah could talk your ear off about it, but like with fats and hormones and, all that stuff, my hormones were definitely out of whack. And so it was just my body comp, because I was restricting myself from eating those things, because I thought, okay, fats are bad or high carbs are bad, just eat all the protein and all this and all that. So I was definitely struggling with that. I think what got me out of it, though, was time, and I had to eliminate myself from one, that people were still engaging in those things. I think that's a big one. If I was around a lot of people that kind of were having those restrictive behaviors or really engulfed in competing, and that's not even just in person, that's online, being able to eliminate yourself from that. That's good. I think you can probably really, I mean, you see social media every day, so if you're following people that are doing that.
We were just talking about this.
That's all, because that's all I follow was people that were, at the time, were other competitors and people of fitness influence.
Yeah. It's intriguing. Well, and yeah, you've come a long way. Like I said, I think it affected us differently. Like, a post-show, my health took a toll. It really did. And I've been struggling ever since, which is crazy. And yeah, so that's why, like, that's kind of what got me out of the funk was, okay, my body's falling apart. I really don't care about, like, what is, like, weight gain or whatever. My body fluctuated a lot through all the different things I took on, like powerlifting, marathon, whatever. And so I had to create this relationship of now, like, fueling my body. I unfollowed a lot of people that were toxic. Now, I was already kind of away from the bodybuilding, but I was still around the fitness scope and even culture, and then being on a college campus. And I've always been, like, the short, thick girl, you know, so slim thick. So I had to do a lot of work there by accepting myself, because mine and Steph's body types are very different. Yeah. And so, but that's the great thing about when we, like, just being best friends, we could kind of see each other's, like, good things about us that we weren't seeing. Like, Steph would be like, Hannah, I love your curves. I'd be like, Steph, I love your abs. You know? And this is where, like, surrounding yourself with, like, people, like-minded people. We had a very small little group of friends towards the end. Yes. And we dumped a lot of friends throughout our college years, because if they weren't fitting, then we're not going to surround ourselves with toxic mindsets like that.
Process of elimination. I just wanted to interject with that because it was really interesting. And I've shared this before, especially in a previous episode on my own channel, but I used to say this prayer every day, and I still do it to this day, and it was just in the morning. It was one of my things. I'd be like, you know, God, if there's anyone toxic in my life or that's, like, not serving me, please remove me from them or remove them from me. And I used to say that every day, and I kid you not, it just happened in my life, and I was, like, almost wanting to resist it. But now looking back, I see why I had to get rid of certain people that were in my life, whether these people were bad influences on me mentally, physically, emotionally, or just in general were blocking me from becoming, you know, the person I am right now. I would not have been there if those people were still in my life. And I mean, even just when me and Hannah first started going out, I mean, we had kind of the wrong people around us then that were influencing us. And I had people from my past that didn't make it to my future because they didn't want to see me grow into what I am now, right? We have a lot of these different people in our life, and I'm sure if you're listening to this, I'm sure there's people in your life that you can feel that energy is restricting you from everything that you're meant to become, because no one can tell you it. You got to feel it. Like, you know when something or someone is not serving you. Yeah.
And I like that you said that, because the prayer, journaling, meditation, we both had held ourselves accountable, because we would talk about it all the time. And I don't think, like, if we were alone in this, we wouldn't have gone this far or changed really at all. But, like, seeing you do this and you seeing me do all this stuff, we would share, like, books that we were reading. That was another thing we always did, was self-help books. So much. We were also roommates throughout all 4 years. So, like, she was just on the hallway if I wanted to share something. Like, we shared each other's vision boards. We would go on such long walks.
I was going to say the walks.
The walks, guys.
We did walks. We did road trips on the weekends instead of being, like,
trapped in a little campus bubble.
Honestly, yeah, we did that a lot.
Yes, and I feel like people ask, like, well, what do you do besides drinking? Well, let me tell you.
We did a lot.
You make dinners. You, honestly, I think the hiking was a big thing. The campus that we were at had, like, a really nice, like, trails nearby.
Yeah, like outdoor hiking, and stuff.
And just, like, you just get very low key towards the end, but you learn to accept that, I guess. Because I think we just started ridding that comparison mindset towards the end. Like, I don't really care if people are out raging and getting blacked out. I'm happy with my small group of friends talking about spiritual stuff. And yeah, it was just so fun, and it was so, like, nurturing for us at that age too.
I think another big one that needs to be touched on, and this has to be touched on, is guys in relationships.
Yes.
You gotta talk about it, because I'm gonna tell you something right now, especially if you're listening to this and you're, like, in your 20s, your teens, you know, college age, I'm sure you're dealing with this. If you're single, what do you want to do? You want to look for, you're kind of craving that connection, that you want to have that relationship. I mean, if you don't, you know, that's cool, but most of us kind of do. That's why we go out. Why do you think we get drunk and dress the way we do? You know, we're looking for someone, we're looking for love in all the wrong places, everywhere except ourselves. I can say that, especially for me. I know I was doing that. But we both have interesting stories with this one. I'm sure Hannah can touch on hers too, but, like, we definitely we're looking for into the wrong people. And we've been in toxic relationships, both of us, but we also would just, try to seek that wholeness through other people. Before I keep going, I want you to interject because I'm sure you got something with that too.
I guess I would just say that now that we're out on the other end, it's so clear to us when we see someone getting into a relationship because they're so broken and they're trying to fill that void. And when I see that, I just want to like smack them out of it and be like, no, go be with yourself. Yeah. Like alone time is so important.
I was afraid to be alone.
Right. Well, let's get into your story real quick with that. Because we both have different, like, not love languages, but just ways of being in a relationship.
Okay. I just realized that we do. So there was this.
You just realized that? Really?
Okay, well, no, I was thinking about it now. So there's this book I read. I highly recommend it. The book's called Attached. I think I told you. Oh, no, okay, just let me finish. So there's different types.
If you could explain Steph's relationship in one word.
Okay. So there's secure, attached, and avoidant. There's 3 different styles. And I remember when I read the book, Hannah had a little bit more of avoidant tendencies. I had a more of attached. Neither of us were secure at the time. So
no, true.
That's okay to say that because honestly, none of you probably are either. So,
wow.
LOL. No, but really though, attached. So my thing was, I wanted it so bad. I say this quote all the time. I don't even care. I was trying to make a square block fit a circle hole in my life. I kept trying to make every piece fit because I wanted it so bad. I remember I'd look for any type of validation that the person I was talking to was going to be my husband. Like that's just how I was. And Hannah's probably rolling her eyes out. Not because I did that. Aside from that, won't go into the whole thing now, but I did spend a good chunk of my life on and off in a very toxic relationship. It was not healthy for me. It was not good for me. And I kept getting... it kind of set the base for me having a lot of the insecurities and just issues that I was dealing with because I dealt with that all through high school. And then, there were bits and pieces of it that kind of played in and out throughout college as well that definitely affected me. And I had to let go of that. And I believe it was sophomore year. That was also the year Hannah was in boot camp. So I was very alone. So I got out of the toxic situation I was in once and for all. And then also I didn't have Hannah. So I had to literally be alone. And honestly, I still will tell you to this day, that's the reason I changed was that 1 year because I basically was walking on crutches my whole life for validation. It was like all of them were stripped away from me and I had to be strong by myself. So that was when I got the closest I did spiritually with God, with myself. And I kind of built that framework. But even then, as I was working on myself, I still really did crave that connection. And I really had to kind of keep in mind that the right person was out there for me. But I, for some reason, kept wanting to make everyone fit it because I knew I still had inner work to do on my own. So an attached personality is kind of like it's just kind of just that, like you get very attached very easily. You cling to people very easily and you try to, again, make them fit something that they're maybe not meant to fit. So Hannah's a little bit opposite of me than that, but you can kind of explain a little bit more.
Well, wait, I'm not done with you yet. So,
there's more? Oh.
Well, so, no. Okay. So as you were going through this, like towards the end, what was your mindset with relationships?
Towards the end of...
Yeah, like right before you graduated, because I feel like you changed a lot.
Oh my God, yeah. Me and Hannah used to always talk about just like, because we really do believe in soulmates, and I mean, not ironic that we both kind of, I believe, found that in our lives now, but I think what changed was I was so focused on me and what I wanted out of my life. Like my dreams were not based on anyone else. Obviously my dreams have changed slightly, but I remember at the time I had this dream of moving to another place, starting these different businesses, doing all these things, and I was not basing that on anybody else. I wasn't going to go somewhere because someone else. I wasn't going to stay here because someone else. I was so in love with this vision for myself. So I think that was the biggest thing for me, was having this love for my own goals, that I didn't want to sacrifice that just for the sake of like someone else at the time. I wanted to focus on me. But, honestly, if I didn't learn how to be alone and love myself by myself, I remember I used to think every night, oh my God, why am I still single? Why? I felt like there's a point when everyone around me was either talking to someone or dating. Most people around me, at least, and that was
except for me.
Yeah, except for you. That's what I said. Most people, at least understood. But it really did I'm not going to lie, it was a big insecurity for me to see people close to me getting in relationships, not because of them, but because I wanted it so bad. But now looking back, I realized that I had to be single or I wouldn't have been able to kind of form the vision for my life that I have now at 23 years old, is because I spent so much time doing the inner work all through college. And instead of spending that time getting out, getting effed up and drunk, I was putting the time into myself, I luckily was around a very good group of friends that kind of were on the same page with personal growth and spiritual growth, if you will.
Yeah. I'm glad you shared that. That's good.
Yep.
Good job, babe.
Oh, God, I got sweaty.
I know.
That made me sweat. I'm sorry.
Guys, love makes us uncomfortable.
It does. Because we used to talk about, do many times we would get together?
We still do, but yes.
Okay, well, yeah, we always talked about, like, our, like, soulmates and, like.
Because it's been so pivotal, just seeing the transformation. Okay, but I'll share briefly my avoidant type for anyone out there who's more on this spectrum.
Yeah.
So I've kind of always been like this as far as like non-commitment, phobia, relationships, all of that. I mean, I came from a broken family, and first semester of college, I lost my father, and it was just like right off the bat, I was already insecure. Didn't have the best relationship with him. And then he passed away, and I didn't have time to really grieve. I went through boot camp. That's also when I found my spirituality, was during that time. But even coming after it, I was still a little distant from anyone who really ever showed affection. I mean, friendships was different because they allowed me to be vulnerable. Like, Steph really helped me, like, come out of my little shell. But when it came to relationships, it was always long distance. It was more so a fling. I never really called us anything. Any guy I really talked to, they might have thought something different, but I was just like, no, like, it's a friend, whatever. Anytime they shared affection, I was just like, why are they doing that? Like, I didn't understand. I didn't accept it. And it wasn't towards the end of college where I was just getting very comfortable with being alone, maybe too comfortable. Right. And in the midst of dealing with my health issues and whatnot, I had to look into what was causing them. And a lot of my reasons for my health issues is because of my emotional trauma.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And so I had to look at all the relationships in my past, and that made me look at my love relationships. And I started noticing a trend, and I would always push people away when I was afraid that I was going to lose them. And so I've had to do a lot of work on this. And honestly, even graduating college, I was still a little like, and like, yes, me and Steph talked about like finding our soulmates and whatnot, and I knew like Steph was gonna find hers. I was like, yes, like she's ready. And I felt like I was like, I think I'm there, but I'm not entirely sure. And so I struggled for another year. I got deployed, and during that time there was a man, his name is Ben, who became like a very, very good friend. He was supportive through the whole time. And honestly, that's what took me to get out of my kind of phobia, was seeing that he wasn't leaving. But before that, I did a lot of work, even on deployment, about accepting love, accepting people taking care of me, because that's something I've never really had before. So it was just a lot of work. So anyone who's out there that's like, why am I self-sabotaging relationships? Why do I push people away? I would look into that. Like, why don't you feel like you can be loved? And I feel like a lot of people in college tend to feel unworthy because of standardized testing and little cliques and all that stuff. You have to do the work so you can feel accepted by yourself. And it's not until you actually do the work and allow yourself to feel loved that you will find that person that will love you.
Yeah, I'm just like, that sentence needs to be said like a million different times. No, but yeah, I mean, with mine, it was like I found somebody finally when I stopped looking.
Yes.
I know that's like probably cliche because people say that.
But it's so true.
It is true. Like I finally was.
It's so funny because it was like the same time.
We met people at the same time, and we literally, our first, I'd say that this is both of our, I want to say real relationship, because I feel like. Yes,
100%.
It was real. Like we've been through things, but looking back, I can't. I don't want to say they were real.
We've had first loves, okay?
Yes.
But as far as healthy relationship,
no.
So I feel like this is our first like healthy relationships.
But I also want to touch on, we didn't find those people until we spent years doing the
Yes.
inner work. I think people need to hear that. You can, I mean, not to say, I never know, hey, when you find that person, I can't tell you, but I'm going to tell you right now, we found these people after years of going through all the crap we had to go through. And we did a lot of self-exploration. I mean, we spent a lot of time alone, and we already kind of had our values set when we met these people. So like, I was just in such a different place. Like if I met Tim probably just even 2 years, 3-4 years before, it would have been a completely different situation than me just meeting him at the time that I did.
Yeah. Well, that's so true. And it's just like, oh, man, I forgot what I was going to say. Dang it.
There's so much on this topic.
I know there is so much. But I think it was like when someone is in a relationship and you might be thinking like, well, how do I know if I'm in that relationship that they're talking about? It's when like you are fully accepting of yourself and you don't need them to validate that.
Yeah.
You can go out on a Friday night, hang out with your girlfriends and feel fine, and they completely trust that. So yeah, I just think it's really important to look into your intentions when you're in a relationship. Ask yourself, why am I in this relationship? Is it because I just want to fill a spot, or is it because I truly care for this person? And look at it as something like not selfish, like I just want them
Not
around.
Selfish. I was thinking that when you said that, because I know there was someone I also, like at some point in college, I want to say it was selfish for me because they were not ready for what I wanted, and it was very obvious that we were not compatible.
Yes.
You know where I'm going with
Yes.
And no hate to that person.
Hate.
No hate, no shine, boy.
Oh,
But we weren't meant to be. No, but really though, like I was forcing it so hard because of my selfish of like, okay, I mean, I see other people happy in relationships. I want to find it next. This person literally, it's like a big light in my face saying this ain't for you. But I was just like, no, please marry me.
Right.
Like,
Okay, and listen to this now. You cannot fix them. All right?
Yeah.
Okay, listen to that, please. Like, do not get into a relationship thinking that they'll change. You need to go into a relationship knowing that, like, you have to accept their flaws because they're not going to change. If you want to change them, then that's not the relationship you should be in.
If you're trying to put that much energy just into changing somebody in the first place,
right,
that's obviously
follow the path of least resistance.
Yes, amen to that.
Yeah.
And again, that's going to be a big part of your transformation as it was for ours, because all the energy we spent into that when we shifted it and put it into ourselves, I think that's another time when it started to change. Think about it, because you spend so much time trying to make these wrong people fit, trying to understand the inside of this person's head, or trying to just like have everything you want right now, your timing, like your timeline of everything. Yeah. But when you eliminate that and just kind of let pieces fall into place in your life, I mean, control what you can control.
Right. Don't analyze. It drives me crazy. And I remember towards the end just like hearing other people's conversations about like what they did last night, or like this guy didn't text me back, and they overanalyze it for like a whole day. I'm like, man, that's so much wasted time. Go do something for yourself. Like, it's just such little things that we can get worked up on, and that just tells yourself like there's work to do.
Yeah, and I do think our fitness goals did kind of help us too, because like we had something we were focusing on. So it's like throughout it all, like, I mean, I say to this day, I mean, fitness was my therapy. I mean, I have different relationships with fitness now, but at that time in college, like that was like the one thing when I had to get through something. I mean, I was at the gym, I had goals to focus on. It was something to better myself. That was always where I got my energy out. So it depends on what that looks like for you, but I mean, I know for both of us, that has always been one common denominator over every freaking step of our life, has been kind of like having those goals.
Yeah, that's true.
In the gym to kind of help.
It's crazy. I mean, they've definitely like shifted over the years, but it's always been there. But I also think like what kept us on track towards the end was like our new business goals and our new business endeavors. Endeavors. That's a word. Okay.
It's endeavors. It's not endeavors.
Gosh. All right, Miss Gourd lady.
But you also say salmon instead of salmon.
Okay, whatever.
I was gonna
Guys, I have some. See, I told you, you're gonna learn things about us that you didn't know before.
Is it salmon or salmon?
I know I say it wrong. Leave me alone.
Nobody else says salmon though.
Anyways, so towards the end, but even midway towards the end, does that make sense? Midway through college,
okay, I was like,
we soon realized that we wanted to pursue like careers in health and wellness. Now, we didn't right off the bat know exactly what that was going to be. We thought maybe it was similar.
This is such a good topic.
Right. But now we've kind of split different paths, which is awesome because now we can strengthen each other in different ways.
Yeah. We had to find our authenticity outside of each other because we done everything together. That was our one, not problem, but I mean, you know, it was hard because we literally did everything together and we both knew we were similar, but then we realized that both of our gifts were very different and we tried to like mix it the same thing. Like, this isn't right.
No,
this doesn't feel right.
No, exactly. And that's kind of what kept us going doing this work, is because we knew if we wanted to help people, we had to do some work ourselves. And we knew like what kept us going through like all these hard times was there was a reason. So we could help people like you guys. And ask us if we thought we were going to do a podcast years ago. We probably both would have been like, what is a podcast?
Seriously. I mean, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, it's crazy. That's why I feel like we just are in a place where we can talk about it.
Yeah.
The one thing, too, that started to change for us over the years was being able to kind of, two things. Okay, one, step out of your comfort zone, but two, listen to your intuition. I can definitely say we did not know how to listen to our gut, our intuition. We didn't. I mean, that's even goes with, talking about the love and relationships. To find the right person or to leave the wrong one, that goes listening to your intuition. To get out of a career that doesn't feel right for you, your intuition. So for instance, the reason I'm bringing this one up, we both were in majors where, you know, it was definitely evident that towards the middle of it that's not what we wanted. And I think we both kind of started to find that we were very entrepreneurial spirits and like we really
free spirits.
Yeah, like we wanted to do our own thing. We didn't want to be told what to do. Like, and we knew that I always knew from the beginning that we were meant to kind of do something a little bit different than what we were in college for. True. And I mean, there's a reason like that we're even over here doing a podcast right now. But we both were in these career journeys, if you will, like in our majors, and it kind of started first. I remember I took that leap because I just knew that wasn't right for me at the time when I was in dietetics. And there was something at our school, it's called BSS, basically Bachelor of Specialized Studies. You have the opportunity to kind of mold your own degree so it fits you. Now, this isn't for everyone. This is for someone that kind of has a clear vision of what they want to put together that isn't offered at the school. Because we knew that when we graduated, this is basically our way of saying that when we graduated, we wanted to put together our own thing. Like, we knew we wanted to do something else. Now, leaving a stable degree for something that is pretty much unknown is one of the most terrifying things. I went back and forth on that decision for a while, and like I said, me and Hannah do everything together. So I did it, she did it, we both did it.
Yes, we both did that.
So that was kind of us putting together our own degree, but at the same time, it was more just like the key to like when we graduate, we're making this real. Like, we're gonna go after that vision, because we spent, believe it or not, I mean, all through college, everything we went through led to the vision of having the businesses we do now, and the mission for that we do now was all because of everything that we went through, and we knew that we wanted to put that into what we gave back to the world. So if you want to talk about too, I mean, how that felt for you leaving athletic training to go into that.
So I know I've briefly touched on, but I was in the military. Well, I still am in the military, but during that time I thought I wanted to go like full on military career after college. And so the way guard works is you can have a civilian career, but I was in athletic training because I knew you could do athletic training in the military and be an athletic trainer that way. However, like as I was going through college, there was a lot more resistance in this path. And I just like something in my gut just did not feel right. I felt like really stressed out, really heavy. I was putting a lot of clinical time in, a lot of extra hours, not really living life. And this is when I started like the Holistic Hanna blog, blah, blah, blah. And that work I enjoyed, and I wasn't getting paid for it. The work that was just like writing a blog, sharing things. And then I saw Steph go this route, and she went through this program a little sooner than I did because I still had this resistance. I had trouble with letting go of like, this is what you're supposed to do. This is what looks good, blah, blah, blah. What you're supposed to do. And I remember it was the summer before senior year, and I was doing extra classes.
Weren't you going to be a fifth year too or something like that?
I was going to be a fifth year because I missed a year for military training, and I was doing summer classes to make up some credit, so I had no life then. And I don't know what hit me, but I had a couple conversations about this program again with other people. It just kept falling into my path. And I finally took it, and I remember the day I had to tell my athletic training professors about it, and I became really close with them. It was a small-knit class, and my gut felt like it fell out and my heart dropped. But then after that day after, like, I felt like a weight was lifted. I was terrified because I had no idea like what I was going to do with this at all. This was also me telling myself that I'm not going to pursue the military career either. So I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do now? I know I'm on the right path. And so from this point on, we just sense that. I feel like we've been trusting our gut ever since, which has been amazing. Because it's still, I remember a year ago, we still didn't have any idea. And we still don't have like a clear direction now. Right. But it's all working out. Like the next step keeps presenting itself. The next step.
Just having trust in it.
Trust and faith. And not listening to the outside voices of why would you leave that secure job? Or that doesn't look good. Who's going to hire you? I think when you cut out all of those, you have a lot more faith. Well, you have to. And you're in it for the right reasons at that point. So you know you're going to do what you're meant to do.
Yeah, like, I feel like listening to your gut is probably one of the harder things. It seems like it can be so simple, but I mean, It's not. I didn't for most of my life because my gut intuition, inner voice, however you want to refer to it, it was always screaming at me. But my limiting beliefs, my doubts, my negative self-talk, my comparison, my whatever the hell was in my head, it was always in there, and it was always just yelling at me right over the other voice. And that was the problem that I always had. So I remember when I was trying to make the decision for this switch of this degree, it wasn't about switching a degree. It was about going towards my vision. That's what it was about.
Yeah.
And I felt this, I can't even ever explain it in words, but I remember I went to the meeting that was describing this change in course of what the BSS degree is. And the whole time I was in the meeting, I felt it. Can't explain it. It was like an energy.
I was going to ask you if you felt anything.
Felt it 100%. I like knew. It was like screaming at me, you need to do this. But there was still that resistance, right? About, okay, well, if I do this, you know, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Because I didn't know I would have had to create everything on my own. But obviously there was a reason that voice was telling me that, because my purpose is beyond the four walls that college at the time was giving me. Obviously Hannah's was the same. I don't think it's a coincidence we went through these years together.
I know.
Because we both...
So funny.
It's not a coincidence because we both were people that were kind of like in a weird place when we started, but our journeys just were like intertwined the whole way, leading us to both. I think doing it together kind of did help to have that courage to...
I agree.
To go forth.
Yeah, because some of our other friends were doing the standard majors, and I'm going to get this 9-to-5 job. Nothing wrong with that, okay?
No, nothing wrong.
But if we were to be surrounded by all those other people and not have your kind of mindset around me, I would have been like, okay, I guess I'll just do that, you know? I didn't have anyone to voice about it besides you. I mean, my mom supported me, but she just kind of looked at me like I'm crazy. Yeah. But
that all comes from stepping out of your comfort zone. So if there's anything I could say, like in any way, if you're trying to transform, and again, I know I keep saying it over and over, but if it's mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, doesn't matter what it is, you have to be okay with getting out of your comfort zone and trusting it. Even if you feel resistance, you have to do it anyways. And I don't care how many times you hear that, you have to actually do it. Like, I have resistance so much in my life. When I was talking about that past relationship I was in, do you know how much resistance I had to just leave that? Because I was so psychologically clung to it. But I knew that was another time I had intuition. I'm like, you got to get out of this, because this is what's blocking you from everything that you are going to become. I had so much resistance, but I knew I had to leave it, and I did, and my whole life changed. I found freedom and this awareness with myself that I didn't even know existed till I left it. The same when I then changed this path for my life. I mean, if I didn't do that, I would be doing something I was miserable in right now, and I would never even be using my gifts the way that they were intended to be used. And everyone's is different, but for mine to be used, and Hannah's as well, we have to be doing what it is we are now, because I mean, our businesses are just completely in alignment with just who we are and what we want to give to other people from what we gained.
Yeah. And I will just touch on, like, as far as, because I always say courage over comfort. But there's a difference in feeling of forced resistance, where like you're trying to make something work, and then a scared mindset. Because when I know I'm not supposed to be doing something, there's so many roadblocks, and it's just not working out. Now, you can get that confused with, I'm scared, so I'm going to make up these excuses for why it's not working. You know, because there's been plenty of self-sabotage moments where I've been like, well, they're busy or whatever, I guess I'm not meant to do it. And you can talk yourself out of it. So you have to really tune into, I feel it in my gut. If I get really excited, I get like this, like, not like a like little tummy gurgles almost. It's weird. Like my digestion is like revved up. Okay, it's weird. If I feel very like this isn't right, it feels very heavy. So some people feel it very differently. Like for you, I feel like you feel a lot in your heart because you're just very like, you know, yeah, you're very emotional. And this is where you're just gonna have to find like, where do you feel it? Sometimes it's a catch in your chest. Sometimes it's the knots in your belly. Like, but your body communicates with you. And I think we need to like focus on that connection. I just want to share that because that's what keeps me like clear on, am I on the right path or am I making up excuses? Because we do a lot of scary things, especially when you're an entrepreneur.
Right. And I mean, just a heads up, well, not a heads up, a reminder, we're 23. So, I mean,
yes.
you know, so we're doing, honestly, and I have to give us more credit because I know we are very hard on ourselves, but we're doing a lot at 23. And so it's scary because we're still figuring it out as we go. And we don't, you know, a lot of people that just graduated like are in that stable job already. And the thing is, we're still working towards making ours stable. There's a very big difference.
Very true.
But it's because we trust it. It's because we have trust that we are in alignment with what we're meant to do. And, you know, if you put that out there and you stay on the right path, eventually it's going to come full circle for you. And it's going to be able to fund you the way you need it to be, as long as you just keep trusting it. So I think it's learning in your life to be able to listen to that voice and to not ignore it. And again, that's not just career, that's going to go with anything in your life. If you're able to follow that, and I think both of us can also take this a little bit deeper on how we're able to connect with that, because for me, it's a big morning and night routine that I do. I know Hannah and I have always been like super sticklers on that. I mean, Hannah will go to bed at like 7 o'clock at night because her night routine.
Not anymore. Yeah.
But yeah.
If I could, I would.
Yeah,
yes.
no. Like in the morning, I have a huge grounding routine, and I know when I'm off of it, because I was off of it because my schedule's been so crazy last month, and it threw me off completely. But I always start my morning, you know, won't look at my phone with like praying, meditation, journaling. I'm always like we talked about it. We always are reading books, and those books are to advance us in some way, physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, whatever. We're always reading, and we're always engaging in other people that can, you know, level us up, if you will.
Yes.
You can kind of talk about your routines too, though.
Yeah. So let's see, my night routine, that's kind of, because I've suffered with depression, anxiety, all that stuff.
Same.
Yeah. So what I've done at night is I pull oracle cards, and they're angel cards. And I just shuffle the deck and I ask my angels, what do I need to know today? And then I pull a card and there's a message on it. And so I do the reading, I say a prayer, I journal, I literally brain dump everything. And it's just funny because every time I pull the card, it resonates with me and it's exactly what I need to read. And if I wouldn't have that at night to like cap off my day, I think going to bed with these unfiltered emotions and just like all over the place, I wouldn't get clear on like my vision and why I'm here. And it's just a very grounded practice. And in the morning, I like to, because I had to get up at 5, it's just like I don't spend 20-30 minutes meditating. I can't. So I just make do what I have right now. And so anyone out there that's like super busy, like you need a couple minutes. You don't need a full 30 minutes or an hour. Just do something, because if you're starting off your day with a hectic, you know, bombarded by the phone or just right out the door, like the rest of your day is going to feel like that. So a mantra, I like to do a 4-7-8 breath, and that takes me 4 minutes. Or journaling, I journal down a gratitude practice or an intention, but anything really like that. And I just think my night practice is really the most beneficial for me. And then I keep my vision board right above my bed, so when I wake up I see it, and it's just a good reminder for me.
Do you feel like you having that practice has helped you be not only more self-aware, but also just more confident with yourself because you're connecting with yourself more? Yeah,
I think when we slow down and we look at like, I'm right here right now, all the anxiety and self-doubt kind of goes away momentarily, but it does, and it allows you to look at like the deeper meaning of why you're doing the things you're doing and to not take yourself so serious. And I think that's what allows us to help other people and talk to other people, because we see through that superficial block that people put on, that mask, because we feel that too. I mean, me and Steph are huge empaths. We feel everything, everything.
I can't even.
Right. And so when we're together, we're like very emotional. Yeah. And that's why it's important for us to do those practices so we can kind of clear that energy. And I guarantee there's people listening to this that are like, oh my gosh, I wondered why I feel so anxious after going to a large event, or I'm with a really high strung friend and I feel stressed now. Like, you need to clear that energy morning and night, especially.
Well, yeah, because if not, you just take it with you to better throughout your day.
Yes.
So it's being able to let that go. I'm a huge empath, so if I don't do that, like, I know the times when I don't, how I feel.
Yeah.
So I try to make it a point to always get up as early as I can that my day allows. My morning schedule is a little bit different than Hannah's, because I usually have a little bit more freedoms in my mornings. It's my nights that are harder for me, since I always work later into the night, and I'm in online school right now, so I do that in the nighttime as well. But I get up in the morning, and I do gratitude journaling every night and every morning. Doing gratitude journaling every single night before bed is something I finally just got consistent with again this past year, and it's
good.
Yeah, you gotta do that. I gotta say, when I don't do that, I don't know, I go to bed in a weird mind frame some days, because I have a lot that goes on lately in my life.
Yeah.
So if I do that every night before bed, that really helps. And in the morning, I try to do gratitude journaling as well. Or, like, if I do have time to read, what I do is I journal off what I read that morning. Like, I'll do a journal prompt off, like, something I read or something that stuck out to me. Like, I'll play around with that as well. So,
See, it's the morning reading that I struggle with, because I just feel very rushed. So I'll do like 1 or 2 pages. But when I read a book, like, I want to sit down and I want to read it. So, and I feel like it makes me sleepy. So I like those ones where it's like 1 quote a day or something in the morning. Or like
I
know what you're talking about. That one prayer one was really good too.
Yeah, I heard it, the devotional
kind
of thing.
There's devotional. I know the daily stoic.
I know what you're talking about.
I have that one.
Yeah, I know.
And it's just like literally a page you read
Just
in the morning.
something to start your day.
Yes, yeah. It's just something so you start your day with a page, not a screen. Honestly.
Yeah, if you think about how much you're consuming on social media every day, I mean, that was like a downfall for me for a long time. And the thing is
we've come a long way with that too.
Well, yeah, because we do a lot of stuff online. So, like, I mean, I know at one point I definitely was worse than Hannah with it. It really consumed me, and I was, like, definitely, looking up to her in the sense of how she was able to keep herself away from it more than I had, because I did get lost with it. And I think it was just the whole, once I made that decision of, okay, I'm going to be doing, when I changed my degree, I'm like, okay, I really got to give this 100%. I got to use social media more. I got to start getting my brand out there, my business, or, set the foundation for the work I wanted to do. So I put a lot of pressure on myself. Fun fact, I still put pressure on myself. But even back then it was a little bit worse. So I got really consumed in everything I always need to be doing online. But with that being said, I also was online a lot, consuming other things as well. I had to set the boundary between doing the work I needed to do on there versus just being on there. Because I got so lost in it. Comparison was at a high rise for me, constantly critiquing myself, constantly judging myself, comparing myself to other people. Smoke and mirrors were all around me, and I
thought you were about to say something else. Like, what?
No, yeah, I wish I got that. Oh, God. Nope, all around me. No, just kidding, that's not what I meant.
This is a clean podcast.
I know, I'm hoping you're done with it. But yeah, that was something I think is another thing too, if you're going towards your transformation.
Boundaries, relationship boundaries, social media boundaries. And something that I think I told you that helped click was, I don't know if you do this still maybe, but I set timers on, if you have an iPhone, you can do this. You can set timers about screen time on how much you spend on an app, or just all social media or messaging included. So I put one on social media, and I never cap it ever anymore. I'm literally on there less than an hour a day.
That's good.
Yeah, I go on, I make a post if I want to. I've even cut that down, because I only want to post when it's actual intentional. It's not just like I need to post because
I did that. I was stuck in that. I'm finally not in that anymore, but I did have that on me
right, because it's the in-person connection. It's this podcast even, being able to have real conversation, unfiltered, I think is really important. And I just got sick of seeing prorated, just like a lot of superficial things on there. So big unfollow spree. That's a tip right there. Unfollow. If they make you feel some kind of way other than good, then unfollow them.
Yep.
And then set the timer, because you'll be shocked about how much time you spend on the screen when you could be doing things that you say you don't have time for.
Well, yeah, and it's just even with that, if you find yourself, constantly comparing and whatever it is you're doing when you see these people online, you might want to look inward too and look at how you're critiquing your own self. Like, why are you comparing yourself to that
And
person?
why do you feel triggered?
Yeah,
right?
Why? Because I had to do that, and I realized, I had some self-worth issues. Like, I had to work through about why I felt like I wasn't enough or wasn't doing enough, and that's something I realized about myself, why I put so much on myself and I work myself so hard, because I just feel like I need to like prove something to myself, and that's been what having that awareness has been kind of a key for me, being able to be more compassionate with taking a step back and giving myself a break, since usually I'm like work, and that's pretty much
well, now I think we've gotten better at seeing work doesn't mean like good. Some people can just work to stay busy because they're avoiding something. And as a society, we value like, oh, you're busy. That's awesome. Like, good for you. Like, no, like, be intentional with your time. Like, it's okay to have slow time. It's okay to enjoy, have fun, because that's life. Honestly, I look up to people. I think successful people are people that can balance and have more joy in their life than work, to be honest, because they're fully fulfilled. And they're not letting their ego feel like they have to be hustling or whatever. I hate that word.
Right. I was just reading the book I was reading, actually,
really?
was talking about hustling, like that, the connotation of
yes.
it.
Yes. See, we're always. Oh yeah, it's funny. But I think that's really important to kind of make that shift, and we are still working on ourselves. Oh, I mean, don't get us wrong. We're like hot messes. I wish you guys could see what we look like right now recording this.
I'm wearing reindeer slippers.
Yes, it's fine. And like we still have triggers. We still have things we're working through. We have down days. We both have seasonal depression, so it's really hard in Ohio right now.
Been a hot mess this whole freaking last few months.
Yes, yeah, but that's what makes me excited is that we now have all of these tools at our fingertips, and our stories hopefully help others and is why it also reminds us like why we're going through this, because we have to go through it in order to help other people through it too. And just because we're going through, like I'm still going through health issues, for example, but I still can help people with nutrition because I'm farther along the path than they are. And you just have to look at it that way. If you're anyone who's wanting to get into this space, you're guaranteed able to help someone that's new on that path for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I like how you were saying, like, I still struggle with health issues, but I'm still able to, help people because you've learned so much. I was going to say, I still struggle with all my internal stuff. I still struggle with fears and doubts, and I get limiting beliefs. I get hard on myself, but I'm still able to help people with that because that's just what my gift is
you have so many tools now, too.
Exactly. Because I've not only the tool, it's just like the experience is like I put myself through so much to get better and get out of it.
You got uncomfortable.
Yeah. So it's like, even though we are at the age we are, I swear to God, it's like we're old. I try to tell people I may be 23, but I just have
I feel old and beat. I need a cane.
Well, that's the thing. Through college, while other people kind of, I don't want to say got lost, but they were just teaching different things. We use those years to just literally, we put hard work into personal development, into just growth. So that's why we are kind of where we are now. And I don't think that was a coincidence. We had to go through all that growth because we're meant to do the things we are now and to help people the way we are with each of our businesses. We both have businesses that are, helping people on a physical level or whatever. But it's like when it comes to mental, emotional, spiritual stuff, that is kind of where I think we both can really make a difference in impacting other people because that's what we're passionate about. Yeah,
I think it's funny that both of our jobs, although it is somewhat more physical, we both naturally, when we're talking to people, tune into, what's going on lifestyle-wise? Tell me about your relationship with yourself. Yeah. How does this relate to my balanced plate? I'm like, no, tell me.
No, but that's how I am too. I'll be at the gym training someone and I'm just talking about their relationship problems. No, but seriously.
No, I'm like, why do you really want that broccoli? Tell me how you really feel.
How I really feel about that cauliflower.
Yes, exactly. So, and I definitely want to have more conversations with Stefanie because we have a lot of things that we can talk about and touch on. I mean, we just talk for so many hours. I wish we would record some of them sometimes.
I know. I think our talks do get really
I wish we could have recorded some of them on the bike path.
Oh, yeah, because I'm telling you, we would do that every single day. But we definitely got a lot of stuff that we can share with you guys. And 2020 is going to be a big year for both of us and everything that we are doing. So we'll definitely have to start talking about that more and share everything that we can pretty much offer to help you guys.
Yes, I agree. And we will put everything down below. If you guys want to stay in contact with us, we both post a lot of health and wellness related content as well, but we'll be back on for another episode. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, anything else to add?
Going out there and love yourself.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, we hope
Follow your dreams.
we hope you guys have a wonderful day, and hopefully you tune in for a next one.
Yes. All right. Talk to you guys later.